The UK is facing its biggest terrorism challenge in more than a decade. But the threat from returning ISIS jihadis is, for now at least, not as significant as had been feared. The predominant threat comes from homegrown extremists who've never even been to the battlefields of Syria and Iraq. The police and security services have long feared that with the crumbling of ISIS in the Middle East, many British jihadis would find their way back home. Battle-hardened and motivated, they'd pose a very obvious threat. But security sources have told us they now believe the number of returning jihadis will be significantly less than originally expected. There are a number of factors at play. More than 800 Brits travelled to Syria and Iraq. Around half have returned, but many never fought alongside ISIS or left early disillusioned at the actions of the terror group. We've been told up to 200 British fighters have been killed in the region. The remainder are either unwilling or too scared to come back for fear of prosecution.
What has happened is ISIS have very cleverly switched tactics. They realise that they can't get the supply of fighters into Syria and Iraq, and indeed they've been defeated predominantly in Iraq. And at the same time, they need to carry on trying to spread terror. So what we have seen them do is use more inspiration, use the internet to radicalise those people and say, you know, take action at home and do whatever you can to really kill people.
The threat from returning jihadis may yet materialise. Authorities, we're told, are tracking around 100 hardcore individuals ready to pounce should they try to return to the UK.
Over the last 6 months, I think there's been a development which I would characterise as positive, in the sense that the number placed in the several hundreds of those UK citizens who it was thought would or might return from so-called Islamic State in Iraq and Syria has now dropped by all estimates.
But advances in communications, like the use of encrypted chat sites, is allowing those still in the Middle East to directly encourage and instigate attacks here.
I mean, the difficulty with security services is that they've now got a threat picture that is so diffuse, so scattered out. They've got a methodology of attack which is so basic as getting knives, using cars. They've got a group in Islamic State who's just shouting about launching attacks, instigating people, inspiring people, firing the ideology off in every direction. And so it's being picked up by all sorts of people. And in some cases, getting picked up in a very short period of time. People are latching onto the ideas and reacting to events and going to do something in this very basic way.
The template for increased terror activity was set more than a decade ago with the dismantling of Al-Qaeda. Under intense pressure from coalition strikes, the group urged followers to launch attacks in London, Madrid and other Western cities. The difference now is the extent to which a more technologically advanced terror group is in direct communication with extremists here. The threat they pose, we're told, will not diminish anytime soon. Mark White, Sky News.